Welcome everyone to recruitment events post-pandemic, attract students and drive conversions. I'm going to click on to the next slide. I'm Tom Greaveson. I'm the founder and CEO at Revolution Viewing. I'm responsible for company strategy, but I also work with our clients on developing their strategy for their virtual experiences, in particular our product VEPL. Over to you, Vic.
I'm Victoria. I'm Senior Account Director at the Student Room. I've been in my role for 1.5 years now, and I work with universities, brands and accommodation providers on their recruitment marketing and on their research. Thanks very much, Vic.
Okay, so a little bit of housekeeping before we get into the webinar proper. Please do submit questions in the Q&A tab on the right-hand side. I think there's quite a few of you who now are familiar with the chat tab, but there's a Q&A tab after that. It would be brilliant. Ask as many questions as you can. It would be brilliant to have a bunch of questions that we can answer, but we will answer them at the very end. But please do add those questions in as we go along, and we'll pick those out at the end. You will be sent an email tomorrow offering you a link to the recording of this session. You can also email hello@revolutionviewing.com to request a recording of the link. And just to let you know, this is part of a webinar series, so please do check out our other webinars at vepl.co.uk/resources/webinars. Housekeeping done. Okay, so our mission at Revolution Viewing is empowering people to make life-changing decisions. So what we strive to do is we want to empower prospective students to find their perfect university. It's something that I'm personally really passionate about, and so is the rest of the team at Revolution Viewing. But we cannot do this alone. We partner with you guys, with universities around the UK, to try and showcase the very best of your campuses and the very best your university has to offer, to try and open the net so that we can help those people find that perfect university. Okay, a little bit of background and past experience of Revolution Viewing. So we're a visual content and technology business founded in 2004 and based in Leeds. We've worked with over 110 universities, and we've delivered more than 50 bespoke virtual tours for universities. We have 27 unis that sit on our advisory boards, and we've undertaken 8 research projects over the past 6 years. These projects are focused all on prospective students and their needs and wants, anything from how to create an authentic video, right the way through to what do prospective students want from a virtual experience. VEPL is a Revolution Viewing product. It's a content hub for future students, also referred to as a virtual experience or a virtual tour or campus tour. VEPL first went live on client websites in June 2021, and we currently have 15 contracted universities. As well as our VEPL platform, we produce 360 virtual tours, personalized videos, and we have a vlog generator platform. Over to you, Vic.
Thanks, Tom. So, yeah, hopefully most of you will know a little bit about the Student Room and what we're about. But over the last 20 years, we've been really lucky to establish ourselves as the UK's most useful and trusted online student community, and also lucky to work with most universities in the UK on attracting, engaging, understanding and converting potential applicants. Our mission is that we want to welcome all students to a safe, friendly and personalised space where they can discuss and discover together. And our knowledge of the youth market really is unparalleled. So, you know, the Student Room gives us an exclusive window into what students truly think, feel and behave.
Brilliant. Thank you, Vic. Okay, so to give you an overview of today's webinar, when I first got talking to Vic about the potential for putting on this webinar back earlier this year, it was actually at the Helloa conference. It became really apparent to both of us that there's a lot of synergy between the Student Room and Revolution Viewing, in particular, the kind of data and insight that we can both share. Although we don't have exactly the same data and insight, which is where when we sort of looked at bringing this insight together, we felt there was a true synergy, and we hoped, or we wanted to share some of this information and some of these ideas and insight with you guys. And that's in order to try and help you to drive the attendance of the numbers at your recruitment events. We're confident that with some of the learnings from today, you will be able to increase the numbers that are attending at those events. So we're going to try and answer two vital questions today. The first one will be covered by my part of the session, and this is the pre-event content and behaviour. So how can we engage future students online to drive event attendance? What is it that we need to do in order to really engage them online, get them to stay on your website and get them to click on those calls to action that will see them signing up to a campus experience? And then second of all, we've got the event content. What's important to this cohort? What will help ensure they sign up and have a great experience at one of your open days? Vic's going to cover off that part of the equation. And ultimately, for those of you that have been on some of these some of our other VEPL webinars in the series, you know that we're really intent on giving you some actions that you can take away and things that can actually have a positive impact for you and your university. So that's going to come right at the very end. We're going to have an overview of all the things that you can do to make a difference. Okay. So my section, your future students, pre-event content and behaviour. What I'm going to do first is give you what I'm going to refer to as a speed demo. So usually this demo would take anything from 20, 25 minutes. I'm going to try and deliver something just in a fraction of that time, just to give you a bit of an idea of some of the context, so that when I do move on to sharing some of the data and the insight with you that's derived from our platform, that you'll understand the origination of that information. Okay, so I'll share my screen. Okay, you should now be able to see the University of Central Lancashire website. I'm going to use this client as an example, partly because it's a great example of our VEPL platform, but also because they've recently been nominated for a Heist Award, which is quite exciting for myself and the team, and obviously the team at UCLan. Just excuse me, I'm going to be looking at my other screen, so I won't be looking directly at you for a couple of minutes. Apologies for that. So we're on the undergrad page of the UCLan website. I'm going to scroll down now. And I'm going to see, it says here, explore our university virtually. I'm going to click on join the virtual experience. This then opens up our VEPL platform, but you wouldn't necessarily know that because it's seamlessly integrated. The platform carries all the branding of the client, so it just acts as part of the client's website, albeit on a subdomain. This is a subdomain virtualexperience.uclan.ac.uk. So straight away, the user's prompted to pick a study level. I'm going to pick undergraduate. And a subject area. I'm going to choose art and design. And then we go. Now, this is important when it comes to some of the slides that I show you later regarding personalization and how that can positively impact the amount of engagement you get with your prospective students. And there's bits of personalization that you'll be able to do on your own website. You don't necessarily have to use VEPL. Okay. So now we can see we're entering the virtual experience or our VEPL platform for UCLan. You can see on the left-hand side, we've got the option to change the study level or the subject. We can see that we've got the welcome page, which is what we're on. We can then explore. We've got student life, student support, your subject, all subjects and accommodation. Down at the bottom left, we've got explore campuses, your events, chat to students. Now, I'm going to look at each one of those very quickly as we go by. But first of all, we're on the welcome screen. The important bit, sorry, I should say, that's the menu on the left-hand side. The idea is to have all the right information that the students want to see in the same place. That's the research that we've carried out over the years has suggested that's really important for prospective students. They want quick access to rich content and information that they need to make their decision about the right university for them, or at least the right university for the prospective student to actually go and visit physically. So on the welcome page here, we can see top right, we've got explore a day in the life. So this is called a guided tour. Again, the reason I'm showing you this is that we can see when we really engage with users online at a certain level, then some of the slides I'll share with you later, and some of the data demonstrates a higher propensity for the individuals to click on calls to action if they're thoroughly immersed within an experience. And having some kind of guided tour that ideally emulates the kind of physical open day experience, but does so online, can really help immerse that user. We'll start that guided tour. This particular guided tour starts off in a bedroom, and there's further immersion with a video of the accommodation. I think that's a student-led video of the accommodation, but we won't click on that right now. We're going to go to next. Here we can see a typical lecture hall that you might experience if you're at this university. Next again, a little bit of table tennis and an area where you may relax between lectures. And again, and I was sort of wanting to get to this one. Here we can see an art design studio. Now we're served up this particular content because at the very start of the journey, you'll remember that we selected that we were interested in art and design. If I'd have chosen chemistry, I'd be shown a chemistry lab at this point, and as per appropriate content based upon the actual subject that you've chosen. I think that's quite important. Again, that's the personalization playing through that I'm going to touch on again in some of the slides that I'll get to shortly. Okay, so I'm going to whiz through the rest of the sections because I don't want to spend too much time. This is supposed to be a speed demo. You can see at the very top, we've got a single call to action here. It says register for our open day. Some of our clients might have 2, some even 3. This client's gone for a single, very specific call to action. On the left-hand side, we have explore, so I'm going to click on that. This allows the users to explore campuses. Again, we've got embedded 360 content. I'm going to share with you some insight as to how much more likely a user is to click on a call to action if they've been interacting with 360 content. So that'll be coming up soon. Student life. It's really interesting data on the importance of student life I'm going to be sharing with you. As a spoiler, the more that we can get the students to engage with this section of the platform, the much more likely they are to click on a call to action. We've got student support here, again with an embedded 360. So really rich content across this platform. And the subject, again, there's more information, more 360s and videos relating to art and design, our chosen subject. We can then choose another subject if we decide to change. And then the all-important accommodation, and I'll explain the importance of that again with one of the slides I'm going to move to shortly. And we've got 360s again for the accommodation. We've got the ability to explore campuses. Our research suggests that it's really important that geographically students get a feel for where the campuses are located. So this is quite an important section. Again, I'm focusing here on our platform, but hopefully you could do the same kind of thing and integrate this kind of functionality into your websites or into another virtual experience that you might have. Your events, we've got the opportunity to be able to serve up specific content to users based upon their preferences, but also just general events. So here we've got an open day that's occurring in Preston on the 25th of June. We've also got the opportunity to integrate, so our clients integrate with either Unibuddy or the TAP. This particular client integrates with Unibuddy. And that's it. That wasn't the speediest of demos, but hopefully you've got a good idea as to what this platform is doing for our clients and the various different data points that I'm now going to touch on as I whiz back to our presentation. Just turn off screen sharing. And hopefully you'll see the slides again now. Okay. So now you've got an idea as to what the platform does and how it can deliver certain pieces of content. I'm going to talk through the various pieces of data and then going to give you an idea as to how you could emulate the kind of engagement levels that we are receiving on the platform, or our clients are receiving. So this particular slide has 5 different university websites and the data from their Google Analytics. Very kindly, some of our VEPL clients have shared their Google Analytics, access to Google Analytics. The red bar there has the averages of these websites. So we can see that the average university website from this sample of 5 is achieving a 3 minutes and 18 seconds average session duration. And on average, it's achieving just over 3 pages per session. Or sorry, I should say the users are looking at 3 pages per session. On the VEPL platform, we can see that the average user on VEPL is spending just over 9 minutes on the VEPL platform, and this is across 10 VEPL platforms, not just the one we looked at. And the average user is looking at just over 10 pages in a session. So this would appear that we're getting some really good engagement with VEPL, but when we looked at this data, we were really conscious that for all we know, users could be frustrated with the VEPL platform. They could be stuck on the VEPL platform. Maybe they're trying to get out. So we wanted to dig a little bit deeper into the data to try and understand or trying to see whether there's any evidence to suggest that the time and duration spent on the VEPL platform correlated with clicks on calls to action. First off, though, before we got to that, we decided that we would start looking at just one of those 5 university websites, and we would plot the duration the average user spends on this particular university website. So that's the blue line that we're seeing there, against the the pages viewed in an average session. So we can see across the bottom, that's the number of pages viewed. As you'd expect, the more pages viewed, the more time the user spends on the website. But what's quite interesting is that the apply to course dotted red line, there's an exact correlation with the amount of pages viewed and time spent on the website with the propensity of the user to actually click on apply to course. So there's a call to action on this particular university website that was apply to course. And we can see that the more time they spend on the website, the more likely they are to click on apply to course. The problem that these university websites have is that their average pages per session are only 3. So we can see that green bar is quite far to the left, or the green dotted line, sorry. What universities and what you guys would need to be able to do is push that green line to the right. So get more engagement with your users on your website to try and drive a greater likelihood of them clicking on a call to action. So more pages, more time on the website, more likelihood of clicking a call to action. So this is the average of the 10 VEPL platforms. We can see, again, a similar kind of correlation where we've got the blue line that shows the time on a website. We've got the pages viewed across the bottom. And we can see then the likelihood of clicking a call to action is the red line. And we can see because VEPL has an average of 10, just over 10 pages per user session, that we're much further along to the right. Now, I want to show you in the next few slides exactly how it is that we're managing to get such traction for you with users and such engagement with users on the VEPL website, because there's a few things that we can do and some information I can share that I think will help you with your own websites increase the amount of stickiness, increase that engagement that you get with your users. So just before I do that, I want to play you a video of a first-year student that we interviewed earlier this year. And this student really helps sort of encapsulate the importance of having the right information in the right place at the right time. Okay, let's play this video.
I felt that it was important to have all of the live parts of the website and the footage of the campus, say, all in one area, so that you could get a real feel for it without having to go around the website and like sometimes digging around the website to look for what you wanted. If it's all in one place, then you're going to get much more information much more quickly, and then you can go on to make your choice much easier.
Okay. So we can see there, Sophie is emulating what numerous research studies that we've done had suggested to us, the importance of having all the right information easily accessible in the right place. So this is about user journey. This is about the importance of being able to find one thing, but then very easily being able to find the next thing that they're searching for. So what are these prospective students actually searching for? The pie chart in front of us is taken from, again, from the VEPL platform data across 10 different platforms. And this is the number of clicks in that menu bar for the various different topic areas. So we can see all the percentage of clicks. We can see that 27% of the clicks that are made within the VEPL web platform are for subject or course. I think that probably stands to reason. I think that's probably the kind of information that you guys will be very used to. In fact, most of the universities I've come across do a great job of making it really easy to find course content and find the right kind of course information. What we noticed when we've done our research previously, and particularly when we interviewed various different first-year students at the start of this year, was that they struggle to often find the next piece of information. So they'd find the course information, but then they would, in their own words, click off if they couldn't find some good accommodation information or if they couldn't explore the campus. So they'd give it 30 seconds of looking around, and some university websites would serve up that information reasonably well and quickly. Others didn't, and then they would just click off. They would then go on to the next website. They were often looking at anything from between 10 and 15 university websites at the very start of their search. So it's the very early stages, but what we want to be able to do is share information to help you guys to avoid these prospective students clicking off and dismissing your website and your university so early in the journey. So make sure we serve up the right information all in one place. So back to, we can see accommodation was the second most clicked on topic. Campus and explore the campus was the third most, and then student life the fourth. And we've got some more information about student life coming up in one of the next slides. So on this particular table, this, again, it's across the 10 VEPL platforms. We'll just start off looking at accommodation. So, and this is the topics where the constant was the particular topic on the left. So with accommodation, where a search from a prospective student included accommodation, their average session duration would be 12 minutes and 40 seconds, pages per session of 17, and a call to action conversion rate of 6.6. We can see from when we look at Explore Campus and Subject Department, in terms of the average session times, slightly lower in accommodation, but still very reasonable, up there around 10 or 11 minutes. Pages per session on average from the users, similar again. And when we look at the call to action conversion rate, 6s. So Campus Explore, 6. If their session includes predominantly a campus exploration, there's a 6% chance they're going to click on that call to action button. Student life is the absolute outlier here. When a prospective student searches, finds and spends time looking at student life, their average session duration is going to be just under 20 minutes on the VEPL, was just under 20 minutes on the VEPL platform during this period of research. The average pages per session, 26. But then the call to action conversion rate, and this is really exciting for us, we're up at 13%. So we're almost double that of the other areas. So what this suggests to us, at least, is that we really need to win over the hearts of these students. The student life information, imagining what it's going to be like living and working amongst your peers in a new place, is so important. So I feel that you guys will already know that this is the case, but we wanted to reassure you that all that time spent putting together lists of 360s, to shoot the campus, and all the time spent trying to coerce academics into doing videos or student-led videos, you're having to get your ambassadors to do those videos, it really does pay off. So definitely worth some time, money and investment in the student life area and making sure there's lots of student-led content. Okay, this is quite an interesting one. So sessions where the user doesn't interact with a 360 panorama, there's a 3.3% chance that they're going to click on a primary call to action. The primary call to action, by the way, is the one at the very top with UCLan. They had a single primary call to action that was register for an open day. Again, some clients might have 2 or 3 different calls to action. But if a user has not interacted with a 360, 3% likely to click that call to action. If they have interacted with a 360, it doubles the chance of that user actually clicking on that call to action. So that just demonstrates that the importance of that immersiveness. You will give a richer experience. The user will be more bought into your brand, into your university. They'll be exploring your campus, exploring your accommodation, and they'll just be much more likely to click on a call to action. When we look at, we'll look at image gallery, but image gallery, I think that's more of a hygiene piece, at least when we've discussed it internally. It feels that the chance of change there, if a user does or doesn't interact with an image gallery, is relatively small compared to 360s and videos. So we'd suggest that image galleries are a staple and they just need to be there, but they're not going to make a huge difference to the amount of the level of conversion rate. Whereas video, those users that didn't interact with video would have a 4% chance of clicking on a CTA, whereas those users that actually watched the video, they've got nearly an 8% chance of clicking on a CTA. So again, nearly double that if the user has watched the video. Okay, so personalization, I labeled this point when we went through the speed demo. We have almost 50% of the users of our platform will opt to personalize. The other 50% will just continue without actually personalizing their experience. But if we just focus on those that do actually personalize, we can see that the data tells us that those, and this again, it's across all 10 of the platforms, so a good mix. Those that personalize their experience are 2.5 times more likely to click on one of those main call to action. Again, those calls to action that were at the top of the screen. They're 2.2 times, or they're likely to spend 2.2 times more time on the platform, and they're 3.8 times more likely to click on the chat to staff or students. So again, in the menu bar, the menu down the bottom left, we had that click, the opportunity to click and interact via Unibuddy or tap with students. So it's 3.8 times more likely that they're going to click on that particular menu item if they've personalized their experience. Personalizations just can be really useful and really important. It's a way of demonstrating that you care, demonstrating that you're going to that next level to serve information and serve content that's really specific to the needs of that prospective student. You don't necessarily have to do the profiling just like we do with VEPL. There's other ways that you can have quick wins with personalization just demonstrate that you actually are listening to them and that you can serve something that's very specific to their needs. Okay, so funnel strategy and registering for an event. Across 40,000 users during this 90-day period, nearly 4,000 of those users across all 10 VEPL platforms, nearly 4,000 users clicked on a call to action that related to the booking of an event or the registration of a campus recruitment event. When we've looked into this and dug around, we are confident this is just because of the high levels of engagement. And when I work through the strategy with our clients in terms of their virtual experience strategy, it's really quite an interesting piece of work, because we focus upon what the grand aim for their particular VEPL platform. And you could do the same thing with certain websites, with certain web pages, within your website or with your virtual experience if you have one. What do you want to achieve with those pages where you would like your prospective students to take a particular action? What action would you like them to take? Is your call to action, is your button label correct? Is it fit for purpose? Now, this is a process I would imagine many of you have been through before, but I think that it's really important to refresh that process on a regular basis. But when you do it, think about the metrics that you would be happy with. What does success look like to you? So this is the process that we go through with our clients, the strategy piece. What does success look like? If 10 people click that button per month, is that exciting? Is that good? What about 200? And the number of times I've sat with clients, it's been a really great conversation, because initially can often be a disparity as to what success actually looks like to the client. And so by having those conversations about what does good look like, hopefully you can align and land on a number that you all feel within that room is the right kind of number in terms of the conversion for that particular web page, that you all agree, now we'd be really excited about getting that particular number. And it's amazing strategically how that can then drive all your actions behind that. Make sure that that web page is really funneling that traffic into that, clicking onto that call to action, and that call to action is fit for purpose and is going to deliver you what you want, which, you know, in this particular case for our clients has been clicks on registrations for recruitment events, which is of course the purpose of this webinar, or this section of the webinar. Takeaway actions, they will be coming up after Vic's section. I've talked for enough now, so Vic, I'm going to hand over to you. Cheers.
Thanks, Tom. So now I have to find, well, I think hopefully I found the unmute button. So I'm already doing well. And then just now my notes, and I'm ready to go. So yeah, thank you, Tom. So it's over to me to share with you our latest research from the TSR Insight team at the Student Room, which will hopefully help you to better understand the student mindset. And I really hope that you find it useful in your future planning. We're incredibly fortunate at the Student Room to have such a large and engaged community, which are always super happy to share their opinions and thoughts about a whole host of different topics. They certainly keep our Insight team incredibly busy, and especially so over the last 2 years, as we have been regularly surveying students as they navigated their way through the pandemic. Navigating Changing Options is the name of our large-scale quantitative tracking study, which we launched right at the beginning of the pandemic in March 2020. We've just completed wave 7 of the research this spring. So we followed the COVID cohorts, as they were named, from year 11 all the way to year 13. And we're now surveying an audience of students gearing up to enter HE in this year's cycle, as well as 2023 entry students who are currently in year 12. Okay, so what do those students want and what do they need? Increasingly, it's a feeling that they belong, So not so much that they will fit in as such, but that whichever pathway they choose to continue their education, that they'll find a community of similar-minded people that they can connect with. Tom talked to you earlier about the emphasis of winning hearts and personalising content and making students feel loved. That's really good advice. The importance of belonging is a theme that we see in the forums on TSR every year. It's reflected in our research, which I'll share with you on upcoming slides. And for those of you that have read it, it's also a key element in the Student Futures Commission Manifesto, which talks about the need for universities to help build communities for students and enable them to thrive and ultimately for them to make friends. This is a quote from Richard Brabner, who's director of the Up Foundation, and he says that students have been selfless in putting their needs of others above themselves during the pandemic. And what we need to do now as a sector is to really rebuild that student experience. And to do that, it's based on a true partnership between universities and your students, but by really prioritising what students really want and not just what we think that they want. Just this month, we ran a poll with the student room community asking incoming freshers what they're most apprehensive about when starting university in September. And it's pretty clear from the results here, I think, what their biggest worry is. The clear majority of the 465 students who responded said making friends, which made up 45% of the total votes. The next most common concern had fewer than half of the votes, with 18% being concerned about doing well on their course. Now, obviously, these are students who are anticipating starting university in September, so they're taking a relative jump into the unknown. So their opinions may differ to current university students, but I think it's helpful to note how clear it is that a sense of belonging at university is so important to students, as it's also seen in the Student Futures Manifesto too. And I think what this poll is showing us is that many current and prospective students really lack the confidence that they'll be able to make these connections in their new community. They need some support. Back in February, we asked students which factors might influence 2022 entry applicants when selecting which of their offers to firm. 67.3% said whether they think whether it feels right and if they can picture themselves there. In other words, do I think I'll belong? These statements here are all inextricably linked with the idea of student life and the need to belong, which we've been talking about. And when you remember the stat that Tom shared around the high session durations and the CTA clicks on those student life topic pages in VEPL over twice the session duration of course pages, it's super obvious that this area really dominates what students are wanting to understand. So we can really clearly see how important this is to students, but how can your university help to create that confidence that your institution is the place for them? What can you be showing applicants to help them really picture themselves calling your campus home for 3 years, and in what format should that be? Virtual is here to stay. In wave 6 of our research back in November, we asked students what kind of events they planned to attend in the future. You can see here that on-campus is and will continue to be a preferred option, but just look at the increase in virtual or online event demand. That green line here is year 12. So in this cycle, virtual has been important for sure, but it will be even more so for 2023 applicants. Fast forward from this to our most recent wave, which is wave 7 in March this year. And when we asked respondents to tell us what kind of events, if any, they had attended so far, here are the results. More of them at this point in the cycle have attended a virtual or an online open day. We also asked which do they plan to attend in the future, with 41% planning to attend virtual events in the future and 72% on campus. Notice again that longer green line for year 12s, showing that a solid approach to virtual events and engagement will be particularly key for 2023 recruitment. As in-person events become normalised again, some experts predict the term hybrid might fall by the wayside. But that doesn't mean the option to attend virtual events is going anywhere, and it certainly doesn't mean that digital isn't a thing. On-demand works, but rather than just send students a follow-up recording of what you missed on the day kind of thing. It's possible to give your in-person events a long digital tail by creating a more always-on approach to your online engagement activities. So try and think of virtual and on-campus as being connected and relational rather than wholly distinct, separate activities. That to me feels more about what hybrid will be about moving forward. So when is best to host? Also from our recent wave of navigating changing options, we asked students to share their preferred timings to attend events both online and on campus throughout the year. Virtual gets a longer line in year 12 and in the summer holidays because those students are still quite early on in their research. They're considering, they're thinking about what unis to include in their UCAS application. And then on campus gets the longer line from autumn term onwards because students by this point are increasingly feeling the need to sort of see it for themselves in order to make their final choices. So we can see that virtual events are a key part of the recruitment marketing mix into the next cycle and beyond. But how can we make them good? At the beginning of the pandemic, and therefore right at the beginning of that pivot to providing some kind of online option for most universities, it was a valiant effort, but it was so difficult to get it right with everything else that was going on, not necessarily having the right tech, the right resource, or the right data and insight to deliver the absolute best experience for students. So you can see from these charts here that 20% of respondents still feel as though their experience of virtual or online open days so far hasn't been super useful, but don't be overly disheartened by that. Of course, on-campus open days will be considered on the whole much more useful because these aren't events you've only had 2 cycles to prepare for and deliver in amongst all the other changes going on in the sector and the wider world. So plus, you know, when you think back to the most important factors for applicants choosing their firms in this cycle, atmosphere, vibe, how they feel about the campus and whether they can picture themselves there, that kind of thing is just so much easier to do in person. It's like buying a house in a lot of ways. You know, Rightmove is good for helping us narrow down our choices, price, location, proximity to schools, etc. But I want to actually walk around the kitchen for me to think if I can imagine myself cooking there. So if virtual events are here to stay, but 20% of students are not finding them super useful so far, what could we be doing differently to change this? On the left-hand side here, you can see the top answers for what students want the most from any virtual event they attend and compare that to the list on the right, which looks at top answers for on-campus events. Amongst the overlaps on course information and being able to ask questions, both scoring highly, you'll note the fact that student life, again, is really high on both of these lists. I spend a lot of time looking at university marketing, as you might expect, and I think it's really interesting to see where this kind of content appears on some sites versus others. One example I like and was looking at recently was the University of Liverpool. On their Why Choose Us page, the first paragraphs of text are all about receiving a warm welcome and being a place to belong. They talk about being a vibrant student community and being open and accessible before they start talking about their rich academic experience, their inspirational research, or even their USP of being the UK's original red brick, which is a message that I know that they're proud of. You'll see for virtual events, it's really important for you to offer an on-demand approach for students here. They want to dip in and out of lots of different sessions. They want to watch and catch up whenever they choose. They don't really want to sign up for an online open day, which starts at a specific time, has a very set designed agenda, and then a specific end time. I mentioned earlier about aiming for a relationship between your online and your on-campus engagement drivers. For a lot of clients, online activity is used to push on-campus attendance. Makes sense, very sensible thing to do. So before students are likely to physically attend your university, what kind of online content would be most compelling for them to consume? The top answer here is to view a course video featuring a student. You'll see the second top answer is also to view a video of the campus. But the best examples of content I've seen generally combine the two. A day in the life of a medical student dials up student voice, gives the content authenticity, and can help the student to try and imagine that being a day in their own life too. But at the same time, it shows off the lab facilities and the campus. So you're doing both in one. Another top answer here, 31%, is for students to have a conversation with an existing student. For those of you that have had or might consider a full VEPL demo off the back of this webinar, then you can see how integral the Unibuddy functionality is to that. And of course, on the student room, we have over 500 official reps who are engaging with and speaking to students every single day to help attract, engage, and ultimately convert potential applicants to their institution. There were no significant differences by year of study here, but there is one difference by year of entry. So 2022 entry were more likely to say that they wanted to view a video of the campus, and 2023 entry, so it's 60% 2022 versus 46% of 2023. Now, this slide isn't specifically about events at all, but I hope the answers here can provide a steer to you if you're wanting to better understand the general information students want to hear from you about now. This is from NCO Wave 7.2, so I'll just keep the slide up for a moment so you can read through some of the responses here. And then finally from me, we asked students to tell us how important good online visual content is when choosing which universities they would want to travel to for an in-person event. So essentially what we wanted to understand here is, will good online content increase the likelihood of students taking the time and the effort to travel to you in person? And therefore at the same time, will bad online content potentially switch them off? Overall, you can see that 51.5% said it was quite important and 26.7% said very important. We broke down the responses further and noticed that there are some differences by stay at home versus students moving away. Stay at home respondents were less likely to say that good online visual content was very important to them than those students that were moving away. This is from the June edition of our monthly omnibus survey, TSR Asks. So we ask 12 questions each month to an audience of year 12s and year 13s, which is a great way to better understand thoughts and feelings in the moment to help you stay on track. Before I hand back to Tom, I hope I've given you enough interesting data from NCO today, but the full reports are available free of charge to all UP clients, so clients that have a university partner pack with the student room. So if you'd like to receive them in full after the webinar, please just let me know. And with TSR Asks, as I mentioned, we've got 12 questions each month, so you're welcome to book questions in these. If there's anything in particular that you'd really like to know, just tell me and we'll put it to our student community for you. Back to you, Tom.
Thanks very much, Vic. That was really, really helpful, really interesting and dead insightful. Okay, so in terms of some takeaway actions that I promised you earlier on, I'll whiz through these, but hopefully these will be some things that you can do to make a real positive impact at your university and with your university website or virtual experience. So subject content, accommodation, campus exploration, student life, live and on-demand events, have everything in one place, or at least easily accessible from one place as best you can. Now, I know that's not always dead easy, but even if you can just make a start and just make sure that some of these things are connected, the more you can get closer to a seamless journey for that user, the better the user experience, the more engaged, the more likelihood they are to actually click and subscribe, register for one of your on-campus events. As Vic said in one of her earlier slides, the importance of the pre and the post online initiatives when it comes to supporting your campus events, we think are just going to grow and grow over time, and that, I believe, too, will be the new hybrid event. Your website course information, so again, similar thing. Where are they going to go to next? If they're looking at course information, most likely that is one of the first things they're going to do. Have you got a clear exit point? Have you got a clear signposting for where they can pick up some information about accommodation, about exploring your campus? Student life, we've said it once, twice, now 3 times, win their hearts. We know you can do, because there's some fantastic content out there. Just keep creating that content and make sure you're making it really clear, well labeled and well signposted. Visual content does drive engagement. It increases that click-through rate, as we saw with the data. you can double that click-through rate if you can make sure it's really clear and easy for a user to interact with 360s or to watch that visual content. As per Vic's slide, there were lots of videos were in high demand when it came to key influencers on that decision-making process. Personalization, what can you do to make them feel loved? It could be anything from the extremes of allowing them to make some specific choices about their future and then playing that back to them, but it could just be some simple things. So think about how you could very simply give them something where they can interact with your institution and make them feel like you're listening to them and that you understand them. Strategize, easy for me to say, strategize that funnel. So set yourself some targets. How many people do you want to be clicking? How many users do you want to be clicking on those calls to action every month? Try to set some metrics, give yourself something to work towards. Don't worry if you don't get it right the first time. That's what it's all about. It's about iterative changes and approaches and the stretch. Try and think about what good would look like and then add 20%. You and your team can do this. As I've tried to suggest throughout, this isn't just, well, I'm hoping that there's plenty of things you could do here that you could bring into your own website or your own virtual experience. Of course, though, and thank you very much for the plug earlier on, Vic, do please book a VEPL demo with us if you'd just like to understand more about what the platform might be able to do with you. So that's my shameless plug for VEPL, and there'll be plenty of email addresses, or the same email address, hello@revolutionviewing.com. We'd be more than happy to hear from you, and we can have a chat and then do a demo for you if that's what you like. Okay. Just a couple more things from me before we get into the Q&A session, part of the session. Revolution Viewing has a speaker session during the Heist Awards, or sorry, not during the Heist Awards, but at the same hotel as the Heist Awards in the afternoon of the 14th of July. It'll be myself and our CTO, Johnny. We'll be doing a short speaker session along with, we'll have a panel of university marketing professionals, VEPL clients, talking about their experience of the platform and how they've managed to drive engagement. They'll be able to give an interesting take on some of the information we've shared today and a lot more too. To register at the moment, we'd just like you to email hello@revolutionviewing.com. Full registration will be live soon. But drop us an email if you'd like some more information and you'd like to attend that event on the 14th of July. Okay, those of you that joined us nice and early, you'll have heard me talking about the University Top Trumps table favours that we are going to be giving to everyone that attends Heist on the 14th of July. If you would like your university to feature in this pack, there is still room. We only released this yesterday, but you'll have to be quick. What you need to do is submit a photo of your favourite university building. It's the first 36 to do that. Will be included. Their university will be included in the Top Trump pack. So please do email that image over to hello@revolutionviewing or go to the form, which is at rv333.com/trumps. Okay. Finally, Q&A. Thanks for bearing with us on that one. So, do we have any questions? Vic, there was a question from Alice. Oh, no, sorry, you've already responded, Vic. You're so good.
You're already on it, Tom. Already.
Sorry, go on, Vic.
That was the only question that I saw as I was sort of keeping an eye on the chat box. We do also have the Q&A box as well, I think. At the moment, there's nothing in there.
Vic, let me hit you with a question, if you don't mind.
Okay, go on then.
So you mentioned all the research that you do, and you suggested that will be free of charge. I need to ask, so it seems like a super valuable piece of research that you're prepared to share for no charge. How on earth do you and the student room manage to do that?
That is a good question. Thanks, Tom. I mean, it is super valuable, and there definitely has been conversation about whether that should be a commercial thing and we should sell that, because I think it's worth loads. The reason that we don't is because so our brand pillars at TSR are attract, engage, convert, and understand, and it's that understand piece that's super important for us. Without it, just attract and engage, which is useful, but we really believe in the power of our clients making data-led decisions, and gifting that to up clients is a really sensible thing for us to do. Although I agree it's worth loads of money.
Oh, that's interesting. I suppose from a commercial point of view, I think I had my commercial hat on. I was really interested to know how you work that one, but that makes perfect sense. Vic, I've just plugged Revolution Viewing so much. I think it's unfair if I don't say to everyone out there that to find out more about research via the Student Room Insight, then go to tsrmatters.com or email hello@thestudentroom.com. It is studentroom.com behind our heads there, isn't it, Vic?
I mean, I should know, shouldn't I? I think so. But at the same time, if anyone wants to just message me for the reports, I'm happy to fire them off as PDF attachments as well. So that's fine. We've got any more questions from anyone? Yes. I mean, are people still with us? That's my question.
Let me just check.
We do have.
No, everyone's gone. No, there's still some. The stalwarts, Vic, are still with us.
We've got people hanging on. I guess.
Any questions, guys? We'd be quite happy to answer almost anything you have to ask us.
Almost anything. I was hoping we would get a few more categories for your top trumps as well.
I think everyone did pretty well, though. I'm chuffed with that.
Good ones in there. I've got a question for you, Tom. If you don't mind me putting you on the spot as well.
Hit me, Vic. Hit me.
Okay. I was just wondering. See, those are some really, really good stats that you've shared. Like, when you onboard a new client, how quickly, once they're on Veppl, like, can they expect to see that kind of thing? Like, is it like an overnight success, or is it a longer burn? Like, how does it typically work for clients that you've had?
That's a good question. Just to take it from the start, because of the nature of the platform, because it's effectively software as a service, then we can actually get up and running for a client within 6 weeks, even 4 weeks of the client hitting go. So that's, I suppose, compared to our previous bespoke virtual experiences, that's much faster. We were looking at anything from 3 to 6 months previously, so we can really quickly get something up and working. And then once it is integrated with the client website, then it's instantaneous. It's as quickly as traffic is diverted to the Veppl platform that the client has, is as quick as it can then start acting for the client and doing that great job of engaging with the prospective students and then converting. And I think that's the exciting thing from our point of view, because we've spent so much time doing the research and tweaking the software. We've really optimized it, so it's a great conversion tool for clients, and we're quite excited about the future of data capture, because that's going to be a big thing for us and our clients over the next few months, using this as a tool that can actually serve our clients' leads, again, along with some metrics and targets that the clients will be setting, and will help the clients to achieve those. So so the answer is it's pretty instantaneous. Clients can get results right away. So good question, Vic. Thank you.
Amazing. Thanks, Tom. We do have another question as well. Shannon's asked if they can download the presentation after the webinar. I think, Tom, you mentioned this will be emailed out to everybody. Is that right?
Absolutely, yes. There will be definitely a video of the presentation. I know that our marketing manager, Joe, is listening at the moment. So Joe might let us know whether or not we may be also able to send a PDF of the actual presentation slides. Maybe I'll have to find out, and if so, feel free to email us if that's something that you guys would want, and then we'll be able to send it if that's something we're able to do.